to say, until I come, signifies that we need to ask ourselves, what is our perspective? What is our outlook? What will our actions be in the physical absence of the one who is really in charge? What is your until perspective? 2 examples and I close. In 1975, the late Bishop Bertram W. Doyle eulogized his long-term friend, the late Bishop J. Claude Allen, in Gary, Indiana. Gary, the city where Allen agreed to go in order to make a place for somebody else. Gary, the city, and Israel, the church, neither of which had any kind of bragging rights during those Depression days of their own to engage the spirit of the energetic young J. Claude Allen. But Bishop Doyle recounted in that eulogy how young J. Claude said on his way to Gary that I will go until something better comes along. And so on that funeral day, some 40 years plus after that statement, when there could be no question that the same J. Claude Allen who went to Gary never really left Gary, involved himself into its community, became intertwined in its civic affairs, led the people during a Depression time to build what we call the church built by faith. It was obvious that nothing better came along until God said, come on up here with me, J. Claude Allen. J. Claude Allen, used of God, made what he had into something better. He had the until perspective. What will you do until he comes? Let me carry you to another personal experience. On the other shore, my life is forever changed for what I witnessed in the lives and ministries of the people of West Africa and the Caribbean. We forget because we think about money. We forget because we think about budget. We forget that they have more to give us than money. The year was 1999. It was time for the annual conference in Liberia. I was a new bishop about to hold his first annual conference with the anxieties that any new bishop would have. But when we gathered at the Paul Revere CMe Church in Buchanan, Liberia, people had come from various parts of a war-torn country. The 90 miles, 90, we drove from Monrovia to Buchanan through the potholes of dirt roads and paved roads devastated by the bombs and fires of war. Took not an hour and a half. Those 90 miles took us 4 hours. There was no electricity in Buchanan. There were no hotels in Buchanan. There were not even enough houses for the people to stay in. Some of them spent their nights in the church. Some of them spent their nights under the sky. But I was not prepared for the emotional and spiritual power of that gathering. There was something about the fact I knew, but the power I did not know. I knew it was their first annual conference in 9 years. Some of us don't last 3 months. But 14 out of 15 preachers who had received an appointment from Bishop Lindsay in 1990 made their way to annual conference in 1999 after years of civil war, when rebels roamed the cities and the countryside, when people had become refugees, and some of them as refugees planted churches where they went. I thought I was fairly prepared. I did pretty well during roll call, and I was especially impressed that all these pastors had come to report. But I was not prepared for the overwhelming emotional and spiritual power in listening to 14 pastors report for 9 years. The missionary supervisor begged me, "Bishop, let us have a memorial service." And in that service, I simply asked them to name the members of their churches that had died during the war. These 14 pastors. The only woman pastor there, Rusi Kay, said, "My husband killed in war. All my 6 children killed in war. But the church is together." And they were at the annual conference 9 years later, making their reports. What will you do until he comes? David Garter, a young man with a young family, said, "Bishop, the rebels came and they said, we will tear down the church. We need your wood. We need your zinc." And I said to them, "You cannot tear down the church." And one grabbed my right hand and one grabbed my left hand, and they beat me and they beat me and they beat me, but they did not harm the church. What is your until perspective? Timothy was sent as a delegate to Ephesus, a delegate for a leader who probably never came. What is the lesson today? Jesus says, "Occupy till I come." And we know he's coming back. He's coming back looking for a church without spot or wrinkle. What will you do until he comes? I do not know how long 'twill be or what the future holds for me. But this I know, if Jesus leads me, I shall get home someday. Oftentimes, my sky is clear. Joy abounds without a tear. Though a day so bright begun, clouds may hide tomorrow's sun. But there is a day, Conway, there is a day that's always bright. A day that never yields to might. And in its light, the streets of glory I shall behold someday. I do not know how long 'twill be or what the future holds for me. But this I know, until he comes. Because Jesus leads me, I shall get home someday. Harder yet, may be the fight.